€10 a month, that's less than a takeaway meal. But in Germany right now, that tiny amount has sparked political firestorm, rattled trade unions, and reopened a debate about whether Europe's biggest economy is quietly running out of time when it comes to pensions. And your country is next. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Germany's pension system isn't broken. Yet. But the mess behind it absolutely is. Like in almost all European countries. Today, we'll talk about why Germany is facing a demographic time bomb, why the government thinks €10 a month could change an entire generation's investing behavior, and why critics say the plan is more symbolism than solution. This matters today because the same pressures hitting Germany are coming for almost every European pension system next. And if you're under 40, the decision made now will decide whether your retirement is comfortable or, well, painfully constrained. I'm Daniel, a former London stockbroker and worked in finance for 10 plus years. I also publish stock market analysis to numerous investing websites, and in addition, I host one of the largest investor conferences every year in Central Europe. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's start with what triggered the backlash. When German Chancellor Friedrich Merz told young Germans on YouTube not to rely solely on the state pension, but to regularly invest small amounts to the stock market, that response was immediate and actually was furious. Germany's largest metal workers union, IG Metall, called his comments dangerous and completely detached from reality. In their view, the solution isn't teaching people to invest. It's strengthening the traditional pay-as-you-go pension system that has existed since the days of Otto von Bismarck. And here's the twist. Both sides are actually right. But neither side is telling the full story. Germany's public pension system was designed for a world that no longer exists. A world where lots of young workers supported a relatively small number of retirees. That balance is collapsing fast. By 2036, nearly 20 million baby boomers will have retired in Germany, but only about 12.5 million younger workers will have entered the labour market. That's a 9% decline in workforce. Let's put it another way. Today, 100 workers support about 30 pensioners. By 2040, so less than 15 years from now, they will supporting 41. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Germany already spends roughly a quarter of its entire federal budget plugging holes in the pension system. That's well over €100 billion a year. Money that can't be spent on defense, infrastructure, education, or tax cuts. And this isn't just a German problem. Across the European Union, countries already spend around 12% of GDP on public pensions. With aging populations almost everywhere, those numbers are going one way only. So instead of ripping the system overnight, Merz's coalition has chosen a softer approach. Nudging, not forcing. Encouraging households to build private capital-backed savings alongside the state pension. And that's where the €10 a month idea comes in. From this year, so from 2026, parents in Germany will be able to claim €10 a month for children aged 6 to 18. Actually, that money must be invested into a share-based savings plan, so no cash, and it stays locked away until retirement. On paper, it sounds almost laughably small, come on, €10. But people behind the policy aren't naive. They are behavioral economists. The idea comes from a German professor who argues that the real power isn't money itself, it's the habit. Because Germany has a deeply ingrained problem with investing culture. Only 17% of adults own shares, funds or ETFs. Compare that with 39% in the UK and over 60% in the US. Why? Because for decades, Germans were told that the state pension is safe. So households did exactly what the system incentivized them to do. I mean, come on, what would you do? They saved in cash. German households now sit on around 9 trillion euro in financial assets. More than a third of that is in cash and low-yielding bank deposits. And here's the psychological kicker. A recent survey showed nearly half of Germans prioritize low risk above else when investing. Only 14% prioritize high returns. That might feel sensible, but it's disastrous for retirement planning. According to Trade Republic funder Christian Heckler, closing the pension gap requires returns of 6 to 8% a year. That simply doesn't happen in cash. So let's run the numbers. If the government invests €10 a month for a child from age 6 to 18 and that money earns an average of 7% a year, you will end up with roughly €2,200 by the age of 18. Left untouched for another 50 years, it could grow to around €65,000 on paper. Sounds quite impressive, isn't it? But here's the catch. With 2% inflation, which is absolutely normal in the German economy, the real purchasing power could be 2/3 lower. That's why critics argue this policy is symbolic, not transformative. And judged purely on numbers, they're right. But this isn't really about the €10. It's about changing how entire society thinks about investing. When people experience markets early, even with a small amount, it rewires behavior. It makes investing normal instead of scary. And once that door is open, families may start adding their own money. That's the bet. Because Germany has tried private pensions before, and frankly it failed. The early 2000s raised the pension forced providers to guarantee capital, which led to expensive, underperforming products. Millions of policies were abandoned. Trust was destroyed. A more ambitious reform was proposed under the previous government, but before it could have been implemented, the coalition collapsed. So now Germany faces a narrow window. Get this right, and it could slowly build an investing culture that complements the state pension. Get it wrong, and it reinforces skepticism for another generation. And here's why you should care even if you don't live in Germany. Germany is the warning light of the European dashboard. Aging populations, shrinking workforces, unfunded pensions, and underfunded promises. Whether you are in France, Italy, the UK or Central Europe, the direction of travel is the same. The state pension will likely exist, but it probably won't be enough on its own. The uncomfortable takeaway is this. Relying purely on government systems is a risk, is a major risk actually. Ignoring investing entirely is an even bigger one. Germany's €10 experiment won't save pensions by itself. But it does acknowledge a truth policymakers across Europe have avoided saying out loud. The future of retirement will be part state, part market, and part personal responsibility. And the earlier that lesson is learned, the less painful it becomes later. If you want to understand how to prepare for that reality as a European investor, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the like button to help the YouTube algorithm. See you next time.